the Executive Director of the New Richmond Area Community Foundation, and I'm thrilled to see all your faces here. I know maybe after 6 years, 7 years I've been on this job, I probably know like 3/4 of the people here, but that's pretty good. So I'm just really happy that we can do this every year, bring together our friends, donors, the grantees, people who have been involved in our foundation since its beginning back in 1980. There's few people standing that might go back that long. So I first want to give a big thanks to the people the businesses that sponsored this event, helping support this event. And we've got some representatives from the sponsor group. You see the sponsors, so if you see anybody you know that is part of any of those businesses, be sure to give them your thanks. And I want to briefly bring up our board member, Pete Kling, who's going to speak on behalf of our key sponsor this year, Dick's Fresh Market.
Yes, I would echo the thanks to all the businesses that make this possible. The foundation couldn't operate without sponsors like yourselves, and especially Chris, raise your hand, Bruce are from Dick's Fresh Market, an anchor in our community, and I think we would all agree they have done an outstanding job as a grocer and a local business in our community. So thank you, especially Chris.
Pete is among the many wonderful bosses I have, and I want to give a shout out to all the board members who are here currently serving on our board. You're going to hear a lot more from our board chair, Susan Lockwood. So please, all current board members stand and take on the applause that you deserve. They have their ears and everything to the ground. They know what's going on in the community. They know where the needs are. They make sure that our foundation is paying attention and actually, putting our dollars to work in the right places. We have two former board members. I think there are only two in the room tonight. Patty Berger, Mary Haley, please stand up. Serving our board over the 40+ years. So I am thrilled to now hand it over to our leader, my boss, Susan Young Lockwood. Thank you.
So we need to acknowledge Margaret too and all the work that she does. So thank you very much. She's an exceptional executive director. My name is Susan Young Lockwood, and it's my honor to welcome you tonight to the New Richmond Area Community Foundation's annual event. Tonight we gather to celebrate our achievements, recognize our dedicated donors, and look forward to the future. At the start of each foundation meeting, the board members cite in unison, it's much better now that we're not virtual, recite in unison our core purpose. And our core purpose at New Richmond Area Community Foundation is simple yet profound. We choose to be a catalyst and conduit for improving the fabric of our community. This mission drives everything we do, from supporting local initiatives to fostering partnerships that make a real difference in the lives of our neighbors. Before we proceed to tonight's program, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the incredible individuals who serve on our board. Their dedication and hard work are the backbone of this organization. Tonight was also our meeting where we had to do all kinds of housekeeping things, where we had to approve board memberships for the upcoming year. First, I'd like to welcome our newly elected officers. Please stand when I say your name. Liz Peterson, Vice Chair of the President-elect. And Jay Evans has graciously taken on Secretary and Treasurer. We are thrilled to have you both forward to your contributions. Next, I'd like to announce the term renewals. Board members are allowed to serve 3 3-year terms. Father John Anderson is joining us again for his 3rd term. Jenny Larson, please stand. She's joining us for her 3rd term. And me, I get a bonus year. This is my 10th year on the board, so. Thank you, Father John and Jenny, for your continued commitment and service. And then finally, as our board has to work on, we have to bid farewell to those who are leaving the board. Your efforts, for those that are leaving, have been invaluable, and we are deeply grateful for your time and dedication. Your contributions have left a lasting impact on our organization and community. Tyson Liebeck, can you stand up, please? So Tyson, your leadership and vision have guided us through many successful initiatives. Your commitment and passion have been truly inspiring, and we are grateful for the direction you've provided. I've asked your fellow board members to share words that come to mind when they think of Tyson. Right? Okay. So with Tyson's 9 years on the board, these are the words that come to mind. Collaborator, visionary, transparent, dedicated, dependable, committed, consistent, community-minded. Let's give Tyson another round of applause. Rachel Sovola, would you please stand? There she is. Rachel, your dedication and hard work has been the cornerstone of our success. Your thoughtful insights and unwavering support have made a significant difference in the work that we do. We'll miss your presence on the board. Words that describe Rachel from your co-board members include enthusiastic, resourceful, supportive, spirited, passionate, connector, learner, endless and infectious energy. Please join me in giving them one more round of applause. So, now let's take a moment to reflect on what's been happening. What are the achievements that the New Richmond Area Community Foundation has attained? This past year has been remarkable, and we've accomplished so much together with all of you. The New Richmond Area Community Foundation has supported and invested in our community. Between July 1st, 2022 and this past June, over $147,000 in grants have been awarded to 24 organizations within our community. Additionally, we have special projects, special grants addressing food and shelter insecurity that have been awarded during that same time frame. The special grant awards, thanks to your generosity over the last 2 years, has totaled $62,350. These grants supported hundreds of individuals within the New Richmond area through programs like the Happy Kids Backpack Program, Grace Place, and 5 Loaves. Finally, mental health is a topic that affects all of us. Through the Vibrant Communities Grant, a regional collaboration effort addressing mental health needs, $6,240 has been awarded over the past 2 years. These achievements are a testament to the power of collaboration and support of people like you in our community. Thank you to everyone who has contributed to these successes. All right, as we move forward, let us remember that our strength lies in our unity and shared vision. Together we can continue to be a catalyst and a conduit and a positive change in our community. And before I conclude, I'd like to express my deepest gratitude to all of you donors and the partners. Your generous contributions and steadfast support have really been the backbone of everything we do. Without your belief in our mission and your willingness to step up, we would not be able to achieve the milestones that we're celebrating today. Your support not only provided the necessary resources, but has also inspired us to strive for greater heights. Thank you for being champions and making a tangible impact on so many lives in this community. All right, now it is my great pleasure to introduce our next speaker. Please join me in welcoming Larry G. from Five Loaves Board of Directors, who has a special announcement to share with us.
Good evening, everyone. Myself and Dennis Mitchell, we are on the board for the Five Loaves and Two Fish thrift shop. And tonight we're here to talk about food insecurity. Okay, food insecurity is a part of many families' daily routines and thought processes here in New Richmond and the surrounding area. What does food insecurity look like? There's not one face of food insecurity. So if you think about it, what might be the cause of food insecurity? One, income and employment, a change in income and employment. Food price increases. There's a poor market for healthy food, environment, and or climate. So, what might the faces of hunger look like? Think about it. Could be the homeless. It might be someone who goes to work every day and not sure if there's going to be food on the table at night. Might be a family who incurred unexpected expenses. It might be someone who had a change in their job or even lost their job. Might be a senior citizen whose prescription costs have skyrocketed. It might be a mom and dad, think about this one, skipping meals so that the kids can eat. And that happens. Think about it, have you ever not eaten a meal because there isn't enough food? We've seen every one of these faces at Five Loaves, these faces of hunger. There's no single face of food insecurity. 3 facts. We have projected 260,000 pounds of food to be given out this year. And ladies and gentlemen, that is a 40% increase over 2 years ago. We're expecting to serve 3,500 households this year. And that is a 14% increase over 2 years ago. We're looking to serve 8,844, almost 9,000 people this year. That is, ladies and gentlemen, 25% over 2 years ago. So to picture that, that's almost 200 busloads of people. To put it in perspective. In addition to daily operations, our plan for the future is a permanent building. The land has been purchased, and fundraising is the next step. $950,000 is the big fundraising goal in the next 12 months. We need the space to serve the increasing need in our community. Remember, Five Loaves is a program that operates 4 days per week, 12 months per year with the help of volunteers, both in the food shelf and the thrift store. We really depend on our volunteers every day. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are not asking for money or donations this evening. My ask is for you to be aware of our plans to help alleviate food insecurity. Alleviating food insecurity ties right into good mental health. We could all follow in the footsteps of the New Richmond Community Foundation by being a catalyst and conduit for improving our community. Food insecurity should not be a stressor for local families. And thank you for the time this evening.
Our community. Tonight is a very special event. A couple of times each year, the board gets together and we review grants in a competitive process. And what we've been noticing as we've been doing these grant reviews of applications is that we're seeing a theme. We're realizing that mental health is something that truly impacts all of us, directly or indirectly. It's a complex challenge and a community opportunity. We have a great conversation planned for this evening, and we hope you leave tonight more aware of the needs that are happening in our community and many of the resources that are available. We also hope that you leave with hope, as there really is some great work happening to support the mental health of those in our community. It is now an honor to introduce Liz Peterson again, our president-elect or chair-elect. Yes, and what Liz is going to be doing, she's going to be doing some technology stuff behind me. Don't watch too close, she says. And I can tell you that she had a really good time planning this event. And I'm going to tell you, the work that has been put into this is amazing. Let's give Liz a round of applause.
When you are in that deep hole, when you are in the depression piece of mental health, you feel alone even if there's a million people around you. I grew up in a household where there was mental health issues. At that time it was called manic depression. But it was tough growing up in a family where you weren't allowed to talk about it because mental health was something was wrong, you didn't mention it. So watching that was tough as a child. Once I grew up and started to see the signs that I was experiencing some mental health issues, it became a fear for me because I had watched what the person in my family had gone through and I didn't want that stigma attached to myself. So I silently just kind of treaded water and lived every day the best I could and just didn't enjoy anything. So I just kept it quiet and I never said anything to anybody. I plugged along in my day-to-day life and did the best I could with what I had. When I was in 8th grade, my dad went into an inpatient treatment for mental health, and that was the best thing that ever happened to our family. Unfortunately, a week after my 16th birthday, he passed away unexpectedly. And that was real tough because I was a almost 16-year-old kid in the rebellious phases of life, making choices that probably weren't the best for me. But it was how I was coping with how I was feeling when I was sad or depressed and didn't know what direction to turn because I was afraid, because you couldn't talk about if you were sad or things, you just put your big girl panties on and went on with your day. When I was about 18, I went to college and made a whole host of bad choices. Never did get my degree, but quit college, came back home, had a job that I loved, then I met the man of my dreams, and we had a wonderful life. We got married, we had kids. So I'm so thankful for that. But in my mid-30s, life started to fall apart. And it was really difficult for me to wrap my head around that because I had been experiencing such wonderful things. With my husband was good, my life was good, my kids were great. I was in love with them, I was in love with him. I was able to be a stay-at-home mom, and yet things were unraveling. When you are in the depression piece of mental health, you feel alone even if there's a million people around you. You feel alone even if your life is wonderful. I had friends that used to say, gosh, why didn't you call? And it's not that you don't want to, it's just that your place is so dark. Your friends are your light, your family is your light. But when you're so dark, there is no light. Having children with a mental illness is tough because you don't want them to see your pain. You don't want them to think that it's their fault. And you don't want them to think that they're the ones who are supposed to fix you. You know, you're the mommy. You fix them, you kiss their boo-boos, you pick them up when they fall. They shouldn't have to do that for you. So I told my husband what had been happening. Obviously, he wasn't surprised. He could see it. Together, we found a really good therapist, got into some therapy, got on some medication, and life became pretty good again. The difference in my life then and my life now is that there are still days where there is darkness, and I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I know that the light is there, and that's what keeps me going, and that's what keeps me able to stay relatively happy. Yeah, I still have sad days, but I have the tools I need now. I have a therapy light at my desk at work. I talk to people now. I'm not afraid to say, hey, I have depression, and sometimes I got a little anxiety, and it's okay. It's been a long journey, and I would say it's taken me about 15 years to get to where I am today, and lots of talk therapy, about 7 years of trying different medications to make sure that they worked right, to make sure that I'm feeling good every day. It certainly wasn't something that I did on my own. I had the help of family and friends, and I still have a real tight group of friends that we meet at least once a month, kind of go through, do a little check-in. I'm grateful for them. And even though sometimes I feel dark on the inside and my outside is happy, that's really who I am. I'm the happy person that you see out in the community. I'm the happy person that you see behind the desk at the high school. I'm not defined by my depression at all. It's part of who I am. And once I embraced it instead of fought it, my life became joyful again. There is light at the end of the tunnel. There's always light, even if you don't see it. Just have the brave face to say, I'm hurting and I need help. I'm grateful for my struggles. If I can help one person, then everything I've been through is worth it. Peace.
I always think the same thing whenever I hear that video. Is that really what my voice sounds like? Yowza. It is my privilege and my great honor to be here tonight to have a conversation about mental health and the difference we can make to each other and the difference we can make in our community. A round of applause to our panel this evening. Thank you for being here. We appreciate all of you. We're just going to pass the microphone down if you just want to take a second and introduce yourself and say what your role is in the community.
Hello, my name is Nikki Krum. I have lived in New Richmond for just over 20 years. I'm not originally from here, but I've lived in the community for over 20 years. My mental health journey started with getting sober about 8 years ago, and then also continuing to support my children through that process and through their own process. So that's what I'm doing here. What I would like to, what inspired me to have this conversation, to stand in front of y'all, is I want to make it okay not to be okay. I want to make sure that the next person has a voice and has a safe place to express that voice, to speak, and to get the help that they need.
Hello, I'm Kathy Rogers. I'm the Director of Student Services for the New Richmond School District. I have worked in schools for over 25 years, and I came tonight because mental health has become one of the largest needs that any school faces, whether it's ours or any other in the state or nation. So we're here looking for more solutions and to get the word out.
Hi everyone, good evening. My name is Kayla Patterson. I'm also from the New Richmond School District. I am the Student Services Program Specialist, so working very closely with the mental health and responding to those needs. I also was a school counselor for 10 years in my previous district, and so I've seen firsthand over that course of 10 years where I was a school counselor the increase of mental health in not only the students, but in their parents and caregivers as well. And so that really inspired me to be here tonight. I'm not sure if you've seen it as well, but the U.S. Surgeon General just released at the end of August an advisory in regards to addressing the mental health of parents. And so because parenting looks so different now than what it did, 15, 20 years ago, even when I was growing up. So, just knowing that, just personally, my family's been affected by mental health. Being a full-time working mom, I have 2 small children, I can see the stress, I feel the pressure. And so just being here tonight to address those mental health needs and make really having that open conversation about it and just inspiring others to really help reach their full potential. And I feel really strongly that with a school district, partnership with the schools, with the communities, with members, in our community, and having that really collaboration and connection is really where we can make a difference.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Craig Yalek, Chief of Police for the City of New Richmond. I wear, I guess, what I would consider a number of hats within the community. Not only am I the police chief, but yes, okay. So I wear a number of different hats within the community. I've been a police officer here in the city for almost 30 years, chief of police for 8.5. Proud member of the Living Well Together group over here for the last 7 or 8 years. Also on the Westfield's Board of Directors. I'm on the Wisconsin Chiefs of Police Leadership Foundation for the Wisconsin Chiefs, and I'm also on the Legislative Committee. And I can honestly say as I sit here today that every one of those hats I wear has something to do with mental health. It's always part of the conversation. It's a lion's share of what we do in law enforcement. And I think I'm here to, one, echo what these folks are saying with the make it okay to talk about it, find what the underlying issues are, and then work as a community together to try to solve those issues.
I'm Steve Harold, a family medicine doctor in town. I've lived here since 2005. I've had 4 children go through the New Richmond school system. So entrenched in the community, and my wife's very involved as well. I think I'm here to give a little bit of the kind of the doctor's perspective of the increase in issues that we're facing with mental health, and the younger and younger ages that we are addressing mental health issues in students and people in the community. And I get the opportunity to help people individually, but I'm honored to be a part of a panel to figure other ways to continue this conversation and benefit the community.
Hello, I'm Patty Schachner. I'm the Chief Medical Examiner here in St. Croix County. I was part of New Richmond Ambulance from 1990 to 2003, and then became a death investigator in 2003, the Chief Medical Examiner in 11, and hope to retire here in about 6 months. So I'm not a tiger, I'm a Spartan, proud of it. Good. Had to throw that in. As a last responder, I see firsthand and bear witness to the tragedies of mental health in this community. It does not go, food insecurity does not go unnoticed by those of us that are going into the homes. Myself and Chief Yellick have been doing that for years. It's a countywide, it's a statewide, it's a nationwide problem. Mental health has always been around and will continue to be around, but it's how we talk about it. That's really important. And as a last responder, I really see that there is an opportunity here, and especially here in this room, with multi-generational conversations. I'm here to tell you that the young man in the background that's taking the video is probably a 4th-generation person here, and he has no idea that the people sitting over here probably were pretty cool in their day. They weren't always grandma and grandpa, and they have stories to share with you. So really, thinking about the impact that multi-generational stories can help with mental health is really important. Our kids and grandkids and great-grandchildren need to know that we all have struggles, and it's okay.
Thank you, panel. Let's give them one more round of applause, please. Mental health as a result of your journey supporting the mental health of your children. What 3 things do you want everyone in this room to know?
3 things. I'd love for y'all to know a whole host of different things, but for me, the top 3 things I guess I could share is we need to get uncomfortable. We need to have those uncomfortable conversations. That's what saves lives, in my experience. Having those uncomfortable conversations will allow your children and their children and their children to continue to have those conversations, as Patty mentioned. It's those multi-generational conversations. It's breaking the cycle. Those uncomfortable conversations will break that cycle. Vulnerability, again, having those conversations, having the vulnerability to say, hey, I messed up, and it's okay. Those are the conversations I've had with my children in these last 8 years. I messed up big time. I did some really stupid things with them in the car, for example. I own that, and I make that, and I help them through it. I help them understand that it's okay to mess up. It's not how you fall, it's how you rise. But having that vulnerability to have those conversations. And breaking the cycle. Breaking the cycle within families, breaking the cycle within peer groups, and breaking the cycle within communities. Again, those uncomfortable conversations, and then those safe places to have those conversations, those safe places for kids and adults and everyone in between to come to land so they can fall apart and put all those pieces back together. There's an old Chinese proverb about the golden bowl, I think it's called, where it's a ceramic bowl and it's shattered and it's put back together with gold, and when it's put back together with gold, you can see all the cracks, but it's stronger because of the gold. That's the safe place to land, to fall apart, to get put back together, to shore up your foundation, or a stronger foundation.
This question is for all of you. Try to get a little mic there, so try to pass it down. We'll see if it works for Kathy. I would like any of you to pick up on this question, and feel free to share the mic. From your seat in the community, what are our biggest challenges or gaps? And therefore, what are our biggest opportunities?
From my perspective in the school, our biggest challenge is meeting the needs of younger and younger students who are working through either their own mental illness or the mental illness of a family member or a parent, and trying to reach all of the students that we need to reach with sometimes staffing and other things that weren't really designed for what we see now. We've changed a lot. As I said, I've been in schools for over 25 years, and counselors and extras were kind of the bonus. If you got to have a couple school counselors, if you got to have a school psychologist, you they worked with students and that was okay, and today it's a must. So I think our biggest challenge is really meeting needs that occur, believe it or not, we serve 3 to 21-year-olds that begin at age 3 at times, and those that go all the way through. I'm always an advocate for our most vulnerable populations, so I also think reaching those students and families who need us the most, and that in itself can be very challenging to get the services in that all families really do need. Our students are not always the ones who have the most needs, are not always the ones who are raising their hands to ask. So it just takes a lot of time, and it takes relationships with students to try to see what's going on and what goes on at home as well. Through that, the biggest opportunity is that we're rising to the occasion. There's tonight where there's a whole bunch of people talking about mental health. And in schools we are, where there's more training and there's more understanding, and we're trying to get everyone on the same page to understand the very complex needs of all of our students. So our opportunities are continuing to develop programming and supports that will help all of our students be successful academically, as well as social, emotional, and most importantly, have the life they really want to have one day, and not have to settle for what they get because they didn't get the help that they need.
I'll build on that a little bit more in my position here at the schools. Just continuing to support every student and family in this position. I'm really looking district-wide at that community resource mapping. What do we have in a school right now? You know, where are the gaps? How can we improve here to really provide that wraparound support for our children? You know, and that looks like collaborating with the community agencies, you know, working with what we have here in New Richmond, expanding on those partnerships, you know, getting that staff, finding that funding to make that all happen and bring that all together to support those positions, to support those partnerships that ultimately support our students and families. We're moving in the right direction, and it's really exciting to see just with some of the grant funds that we've had by bringing in these different school positions, the school-based services that we have, the district partnerships, and expanding that community involvement. That's something that, you know, we continue to work on, but there's still a lot of growth we can do, as we know, but this is definitely a step in the right direction, because we all know the well-being of parents and caregivers is directly linked to the well-being of our children. And so really continuing to emphasize that message that we all have an invested interest in the well-being of our children and ensuring that all the children are well, because they are the future of our society. And so, you know, schools could really be that central place and that hub where families and parents and caregivers can go to get the needs and the help and the resources to connect with others, so they know they don't have to parent alone, and they can see this collaboration and partnership between all of us. So we know through those partnerships, through the programming supports, that we have ideas and things that we want to move forward with, providing that support for the well-being and mental health of our students and parents. But as I mentioned briefly, you know, funding obviously can be a barrier at times to make some of these things happen, but we are moving in the right direction, and it's really exciting to see, and it's really inspiring to see all of you here tonight talking about it.
From my standpoint, what I see in the community through my staff is at the school a lot of times is it me? What our staff sees is that a lot of times when you talk about food insecurities and mental health, is school is a safe place. But what I want to talk about is a little more of the community in general, because we're not just here talking about children. So I kind of want to give you a little bit of perspective of where I think the gaps are, some things that we can work on. Is when we talk about food insecurities, we all kind of visualize our children in our community going home to our own house, and we have to start visualizing that that's not the case. And it's the same with mental health. We all know people that have mental health in their family that have been affected by mental health, whether it be suicide or something else. We can all think of a scenario where we've been affected. One of the things that I see as a tremendous gap is lack of resources across the state of Wisconsin. There's very few resources for people in crisis to be taken care of. And we all hear these neat terms like de-escalation. There's no simple way to de-escalate somebody in crisis. It can take hours and days and weeks to de-escalate. There's no magic word that brings somebody down to a level. And then once we figure that out, I'll tie some of the areas of opportunities that are taking place in the city of Richmond and in St. Croix County. We now have a co-responder model where we're bringing mental health professionals right to the scene and trying to use the least restrictive way to keep people in the community. Because I'm sure it would come to a surprise to a lot of you that our resources are 5 hours away if we have to place somebody in a crisis. There's a few locations close by if you meet certain criteria, as close as Amory, for instance. However, when we have people that are at their worst, it might be Winnebago Mental Health. And now we're taking away somebody in crisis 4.5 to 5 hours away from their support system, from their family, their friends, and the resources here in the community. And that's very, very time consuming for your local law enforcement, and it's probably not the best interest of the person on the receiving end of that. To be placed in the backseat of a squad car, most of the time in some sort of restraints, and driven that far away from their support system. It adds to the crisis, in my opinion. So we're really looking for those least restrictive ways to keep people in our community, and that starts with kind of what we're doing here tonight, is talking about the difficult conversations that Nikki talked about. So we really need to put ourselves in those shoes, and the good work that people, I'm sitting here looking, I won't point any fingers or anything, at people who could be sitting up on this panel talking about the things that they see, but it's just these community conversations, living well together, and a lot of other organizations are doing amazing things to talk about this stuff, to get the word out, and let people know the great things that are happening.
I would echo a lot of what Craig says, and having worked in the emergency room, it's our police officers in town are put in a very tough position with 72-hour holds and things like that. But I think a lot of people in the community don't see what a true crisis looks like when it gets to that level, which I think points to one of the opportunities here is the collaboration that we need to be more proactive with recognizing mental health issues at earlier stages, and just talking about how to maintain mental health, the things to do before it becomes an issue. Simple things like eating healthy, getting regular exercise, enough sleep, staying off of social media, prayer, meditation, mindfulness, the list goes on. Building that into how we teach our children and how we educate in the community. But there is a huge lack of resources from my perspective as well. I only have so many tools in my practice that I can utilize. We need a lot more. The school system, I would assume, needs a lot more help with this as well, but we need also other outpatient counseling opportunities, and there's not enough therapists or counselors in the area, and cost is a huge issue, health insurance, things like that. So I think we could keep a lot of kids, young adults, and adults off of medications, which I'm prescribing all day long, every day, and happy to help people. But if we had more counseling opportunities, I think that would be a huge help for this community.
So as the medical examiner and death investigator, I see the end of the story. I always see the last part. And when I think about opportunities, I think there's so many things that we could be doing that are free that just need people to be champions. Get out and walk. It's the best therapy you can have. Get out and walk with your grandma. Get out and walk with your grandpa. Get out and walk with your mom. Just get out and walk. You're gonna feel better. It just is a simple thing, and there are so many things that New Richmond has to offer as a community. We have walking paths, we have bike, we have the guy, Mr. Haley, that does the bike with the senior citizens. I mean, you see him all over the place. We have all these opportunities. We just need people to start doing it and talking about it. Because if you're not talking about it, you're not doing it. And one of the things that I see when we talk about food insecurity and mental health and how they're connected, it's food insecurity, mental health, and obesity are hand in hand. And I see it all the time. And we have to change the way we do our work as investigators because of the obesity problem. And if we actually sat back and looked at the resources that we have here in this community and say, how can we do community walks? How can we do community activities that promote health and wellness? We would really be on the road to help everybody who's struggling. As someone who was recently diagnosed with PTSD, I know the importance of mental health and making sure that we're healthy. But we have to get out and talk about it, and we have to get out of our homes. We have to get off of our phones. We have to start doing things. And I graduated in 1978. I used to have to climb a rope to prove I did my gym class stuff. They don't do that anymore. We need to be more physically active.
Some pretty heavy things in our community tonight, and I think it's important to acknowledge that it's possible somebody could be triggered tonight. You might be feeling things that you've never felt before. You might be thinking, hey, I'm doing pretty good. What we all want you here tonight to know is that there's somebody out there that cares. There's somebody out there who will listen. Any of us up here offer that to you. We're not professionals, we're friends. We care, we've been there in some form or another, and if you find yourself tonight, after tonight, an hour from now, a week from now, a year from now, please reach out to somebody. Reach out to myself, again, any of the panelists up here. We are here. We get it. We might not know your exact story, but we'll listen and we'll give you that light you might be looking for. Now's the fun part. That was a little heavy. We're going to talk about hope. While the challenges and needs around mental health can be overwhelming, it's important that we don't lose sight of and that we support the many efforts already underway in our community. From your seat, what gives you hope when it comes to addressing mental health needs in our community? And we will end this section with Patty Schechner.
What gives me hope? This conversation today gives me hope. The people that I talk to on a daily basis, weekly basis, about these issues give me hope. The things I witnessed with my, the police officers that I had to call on my son when he was in crisis, and how compassionate they were with him, understanding they were with him while he is literally off the rails. The administration at the middle school, Paula and Mr. Hatch, who helped walk us through day by day, making sure he got the help he needed. That we would not have, I wouldn't be standing here today with you if it hadn't been for the people who were there for us. Continue. Reach out to people. If you know they're having problems, help them. Or get someone to help them. Again, have those uncomfortable conversations.
what gives me hope is the growth in awareness about mental health and the awareness that even little kids are working through mental health on their own, or they're working through living in a home that is impacted by mental health, and we're beginning to talk about that and understand it. I think it's also exciting that we're getting some ideas finally about what to do and what works. There's more evidence coming out about programming that can help, supporting our parents, which is a big turn that we've taken this year in our schools. Of course, we're trying to support students. We want to support families, because families are the first line. They know their kids better than anybody. So if we're tailoring, and you'll hear more, I think Kayla's going to talk a little more about some opportunities and some things that we're trying to put together to make sure that our parents have the supports that they need so they can parent their children even when their children are struggling.
So living in New Richmond for the last 10 years, and just in the short time that I've been in this position, what really gives me hope is just seeing now firsthand how the community truly wants to help, and it's very exciting, and just recognizing mental health as we talk about it tonight and understanding it more and building those connections, that's really hopeful and that's really inspiring to me. We're working hard as a school district to create and maintain some of those partnerships and programming. So this year, we have our mental health series that hopefully you're going to see flyers, I sent them to print today, around the community here and in the school buildings to really highlight, having families and parents have access to this mental health series webinars that they can attend and watch the recordings. I get it, not everybody can make when it the time is at, but they have access to, there's literally a webinar every day that this partnership does. And so they have a whole library of things that they can watch to ask a therapist. So parent coaching, that's another thing that we're doing this year that's really exciting. And so families 24/7 can have access to a parent coach and ask a question or just have that support. We have a local person here that I worked with in my previous district. She's based in Minnesota, but within 30 minutes from us, that would come and do in-parent, group parenting sessions for our families to support our families. And so she would do also individual parent coaching. So things like that, they're very exciting, and they're in the works, and we have these programming, we have these ideas. I've reached out to different surrounding districts to see how can we get a mental health therapist here to have access to our elementary students during the school day. We already have that partnership at the middle school and high school, but our elementary students, as you know, it's happening younger and younger, so how can we get that to support our students? So I've been reaching out to those districts. So all those things, there's lots of beautiful things happening in the works, and just it's really inspiring to see how we can really come together and with the school and the community and all these partnerships to really support our future generations and really provide that full wraparound for support for each child, and not just their children but their families and the parents and the caregivers as well, because that's where we're really going to foster those healthy relationships and that well-being to really take out and live that, as everybody says, it takes a village to raise a child. So that's really exciting and inspiring to me, and just really trying to focus on these collaborative efforts this year, and we're really excited about all of that.
So for me, I've always had a lot of hope for this community since I'm a transplant. I've only been here about 30 years, but I'm still figuring it out. I know the Tigers are where it's at. But about 8 years ago, I had the privilege of starting to work with some great people, and I'm not sure who came up with the slogan, an educated community is a well community, but this is where my hope starts, is education within our community. We've heard, and it's written right here, can't read my writing, but it says, finally having these difficult conversations. Been waiting 30 years for this. That's hope.
I agree with Greg. I was listening to Kayla speak, and I'm like, gosh, I need to find out. I feel like I know the resources in town But this collaboration and carrying on this conversation brings me hope. The other form of this, I kept thinking, is there a more polished way to say this? But because it's going to start off sounding less hopeful. But in my practice, when I first started here, you know, when you see a child for their physical or their well child check, there are things that you talk to them about what to expect. You know, oh, your 9-month-old might be walking by the time they're 12 months old or whatnot. It's called anticipatory guidance, and it used to be that I started to have the conversation about mental health probably before high school and kind of explain, you know, currently it's usually about junior years when it's hitting hard, depression, anxiety, things like that. Now I've shifted that conversation to 5th or 6th grade, which sounds hopeless, but then part of that conversation I have with them is that 7th grader who's crying, and I say, you know what, this is a great opportunity. You're addressing this now and learning the skills to address anxiety, depression, PTSD, OCD, etc. You're learning that at an age where you haven't already made huge mistakes with drugs or alcohol or relationship issues or things like that. So I think it's something that's maybe a sad commentary that we're seeing that at the younger ages. But it's also, we still have the time as people in this community, that's when we have the opportunity before they've dropped out of school or moved off. So I'm hopeful that what's become a little more of a crisis is now an opportunity for us.
So as the death investigator, probably doesn't think I'm too hopeful, but I am. I'm very hopeful. And sustainability is what I'm really always thinking about. So I've witnessed time and time again how often people fail to recognize their own value and immense contributions they've made to our community. This comes heartbreakingly clear in the absence of planning for legacy that they want to leave behind. Too many pass without giving a thought to how they could continue to make an impact on the community. When there's no plan, it's not just assets that are left to chance. It's the story of who they were, the causes they cared about, the difference they could have made had they continued to develop in the world. Legacy giving offers a powerful way to ensure that one's life doesn't simply end. It leaves a ripple effect that carries on for years to come. By planning now, we can craft a lasting contribution, not just for ourselves, but for our communities that have shaped us. You can ensure that your values, your passions, your hard work continue to benefit this community and others. Whether it's supporting a charity, establishing a scholarship, or contributing to a close cause to your heart, this is how you cement legacy work. This is meaning and purpose. Beyond financial contributions, legacy giving allows people to pass on their values, their life lessons, and their stories. It's an opportunity for you to leave a personal legacy that transcends material wealth. In essence, legacy giving and planning ensures that one's wishes are honored and maximizes the positive impact both for personal beneficiaries and the wider community. It's not about the size of the gift, it's about the impact of the gift. Every life leaves a mark. With the thoughtful planning, that mark will endure. Become part of something greater than us and give to the legacy. The work that is being done in mental health has to be sustainable, and the only way it can be sustained is through giving. And now Tyson.
So I'm going to wrap things up tonight by seeing if though we can raise some money to address some of these core needs. I am going to be starting by asking for donations at a certain level, and I've had some generous donors who couldn't be with us here tonight who have established a matching fund. And if we can raise $10,000 tonight, we are going to instantly double that impact into $20,000. So, but I'm going to need you guys. So what I'm going to talk about is just real briefly ways to give. If you happen to be over the age of 70 and a half you are allowed to give money directly from your IRA, your traditional IRA, to a charity of your choosing on a tax-free basis. If you're over the age of 73, Uncle Sam says you have to take that money out of your IRA. And if you're over 73, you're definitely over 70 and a half and are allowed to do so to a charity. If you have something called highly appreciated stock, which last year at this time, I didn't think anybody had. This year's a little better. You have the ability to give a donation of stock to our organization, and you get a tax deduction for the full market value, and our charity is able to liquidate the position, use it for the charitable needs on a tax-free basis. Checks and credit cards also work and are very much needed. So what I'm going to ask tonight, though, is for people willing to pledge a donation to us and to our cause. And the money that we raise here is going to go to help support many of the things that we've talked about tonight. Mental health tying into many of the focuses of our community foundation. This goes hand in hand. And I'm going to start off by seeing if there is anyone in this room who is willing to donate $10,000 to instantly unlock $10,000 more for our foundation. And I'm going to ask for a raise of hands. And if you are willing to give privately, 100% okay, pull aside a board member at any time. And I learned many years ago from Rachel Savla that there's something called a teacher's pause when you ask a question. Teacher's pause, say, anybody in here willing to give 10,000? I'm going to go down to 7,500 and 5 and 2,500 and 1,000. But I'm going to have one last call. It's okay if there's not, but anybody willing to give $10,000 tonight? Is that enough of a teacher's pause?
Yeah.
Let's go to 7,500. Anybody willing to step up at a $7,500 level tonight and support the community foundation, mental health issues within this area? Anybody at all? How about $5,000? Mary Haley, thank you very much. We're going to have some board members with a clipboard coming around. We're going to get a pledge form on there in which you're willing to give, fill out please and give back to one of the board members. And I'm going to report back at the end of the night with the success that we've had. So thank you very much, Mary. Is there anybody else, though, that is willing to give $5,000, which now has turned into $10,000 of impact already? Anybody at all? Dennis, thank you very much, and Jackie. Thank you guys very, very much. That's already 20,000, guys. This is huge. Thank you. Anybody else willing to give $5,000 towards this cause? How about $2,500? And I'm aware that this is serious money, guys, and it is very much appreciated, and it will make a direct impact within our community. Anybody willing to give $2,500 tonight? Let's move our way down to $1,000. Is there anybody in this room willing to give $1,000 towards our cause? Doesn't have to be given now, but right, Randy? Thank you very much. Randy and Debbie, that's appreciated. Thank you. Is there anybody else here who'd be willing to chip in and donate $1,000 to this cause? Sean Fitzgerald, thank you very much. Let's keep this one rolling. Anybody else? $1,000 towards the community foundation, where we're going to directly support grants and other operations that help in the mental health field. Hand raised over here. Thank you very, very much. All right. Jay, where's our math at so far?
We're good.
Good? Not enough. All right. Anybody else for $1,000? Going once. Going twice. How about $500? Anybody willing to give $500? Larry, thank you. Over here. Yes. Oh, yes, thank you very much. My pleasure. Hey, thank you. Over here. We got two over here. Thank you guys very much. That's another $2,000 raise. Fantastic. Woo. All right, now we're cooking, guys. $500. Anybody else willing to give at the $500 level? Remember, you can make a pledge, you can call your financial advisor and take that money out of the IRA later. You can do anything you need, but $500. Going once? Going twice? I'm only going to $250 and $100, and then I'm stopping. How about $250? Anybody that says, I want to help support this community and is willing to pledge $250? Susan, thank you. Bev, thank you very much. Fantastic. Patty, thank you very much. Jenny, you got somebody over there? Thank you. Fantastic. 300? We have 300 here. Thank you very much, Alina Miller. Yes. 250? Thank you guys very, very much. 250.
Another one after that.
All right. Great work, guys. Thank you. 250. Anybody else willing to give 250? This is adding up. Jay's calculator is on fire right now, so this is good. Yeah, blow the smoke out. All right. Last call, we're going to go at $100. Anybody want to give $100? Or frankly, even raising your hand to give any dollar amount, and we'll be over with a form. Thank you. Thank you guys very much. Much appreciated. Thank you. All right, this is really good stuff, guys. Anybody else? Pete, thank you kindly. We've got some other folks over here. Loretta, thank you. Thank you very much. My pleasure. We got one right over here, guys. Now we're cooking. Good stuff. How about any last calls just for anybody wanting to give? Raise your hand and we'll have a board member over with a piece of paper and a pledge card, and we'll be doing some tallies. But raise your hand if you have any willingness to donate. Again, time, talent, or treasures are appreciated. We're looking for treasures tonight. Thank you. Much appreciated. All right, guys. We're going to do some math here for a minute. But in the meantime, I just want to say how amazing this community is. The fact that you guys are here tonight to listen to the issues and causes that are most important to this community is it's touching. I had multiple tears in my eyes listening to the panelists up there. I was moved incredibly. So I just want to say thank you to the Community Foundation, thank you to the people attending tonight, and this is a fantastic cause. And I'll pop back up here in just another minute to start giving a total.
Form yet, there is a special box tonight. I'm going to mention it because it's in writing in front of me. That you have the opportunity to dedicate this amount to the New Richmond Schools Special Project, which we heard a little bit about. So just take a few minutes, and if you are interested in talking a little bit more about that, we have the donation form, and that's an option on here as well.
Well, we're getting the additions here on the totals, and then we're going to be wrapping up and saying goodnight to everybody. I would be remiss not to just mention that if anybody is willing to donate their time, we are in need of more board members eventually. We're in need of people who want to give back in different ways, whether it's part of a grants review committee, whether it's part of just a sounding board for what's most important in our area, whether it's a passion that you have that you think is important. Please call any of the board members in the room. The whole board's listed in our annual report. And please connect with them. If you have, again, time, talent, or treasures that you're willing to dedicate to this community, we want to be a part of that. How we doing, Jay?
$27,200.
$27,200 raised tonight, guys. Thank each and every one of you. Please go home, spread the word. Mental health is something that needs a spotlight, and our goal is to shine a spotlight on it tonight, and we sincerely thank you guys for attending.